connect the dots when we make the news make sense. Today, millions of people across the country are off work for Juneteenth as the U.S. celebrates the freedom of slaves. But the holiday wasn't always recognized.
How did Juneteenth become a federal holiday? Let's connect the dots. Juneteenth, a combination of the words June and 19th, commemorates when the last enslaved people in the South were finally set free. It's a holiday rich in history. After the Union defeated the Confederacy in 1965, 4 million slaves were set to become free. But it didn't happen immediately. Union armies began marching through the southern states, freeing thousands of slaves every day. The news took months to reach Texas. On June 19, 1865, Union troops rode into Galveston, Texas, and told slaves of their freedom. Their spontaneous celebration gave birth to Juneteenth. Over 150 years later, private companies made Juneteenth a permanent paid holiday for their employees after protests erupted following the murder of George Floyd. Then in 2021, the U.S. Congress passed legislation to make it a federal holiday, and President Biden signed it into law. And that's connecting the dots.
June is Dementia Awareness Month. It's a month to raise awareness for a disease that affects 6 million Americans. But could your morning cup of coffee help prevent Alzheimer's? Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg breaks it down in today's Verify Fact Check.
There are several claims about coffee. One we got in our email says caffeine can actually help prevent Alzheimer's disease. So to get answers, we went to family physician Dr. Carla Robinson, the Alzheimer's Society, and a paper published in the National Library of Medicine.
Some preliminary data does show that there could be some benefit to caffeine as it relates to preventing or decreasing your risk of Alzheimer's disease.
This paper published in the National Library of Medicine looked at several different studies about dementia and caffeine and found 3 out of the 5 studies support favorable effects against cognitive dementia.
It seems like there may be some sort of anti-inflammatory effect that is seen in caffeine that allows for your risk of dementia to be decreased.
Though many of these studies are favorable, Dr. Robinson says more studies need to be done to look at how much caffeine a person should consume.
We're still trying to tease out exactly why there seems to be improved risk as it relates to Alzheimer's when you have coffee drinkers.
The Alzheimer's Society also states there's no definitive answer to this question because previous studies have shown mixed results. Robinson says either way, drinks like coffee can be beneficial in moderation as long as you're not adding too much of the extra stuff.
A lot of people add in a lot of sugar, or they may add in creams or other high-fat items that may then kind of negate the health benefit that you were going for.
With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
With your help, WCNC Charlotte is making a difference in our community.
Beautiful day. So many people helping. This is incredible.
Let's spread that love tonight.
Here is a $5,000 check that you guys can use to further the mission.
There is nothing on earth like the feeling of giving back with your hands.
$5,000 to you and Block Love Charlotte for what you guys do.
If you'd like to make a difference, go to WCNC.com/make-a-difference now.
Well, if you're a music lover, you've seen album formats come and go, from records to 8-tracks, cassettes, CDs, MP3s to streaming. But now what is old is new again.
Yeah, last year, for the first time in 35 years, vinyl records outsold CDs. And that's music to the ears of one record store in Plaza Midwood. Larry Sprinkle has the story.
For over 35 years, a record store called Repo has been a go-to spot for vinyl lovers of all ages.
I just like it so I can put it on the record player and just hear it completely and not have to stop it for anything to change it.
Jimmy Parker is the creator, owner, and record expert. I understand vinyl has actually come back. People love vinyl.
2012, it came back. Almost 10 years we've been here at 3325 Commonwealth Avenue, across the freeway from Bojangles Arena.
There you go. It's in a nice spot.
In the lovely Plaza Midwood.
Because of its reputation for every genre of music and a good price too, people make Repo a stopping off point.
The metal section's always real thin, but here it's really, really nice.
Oh, I really like indie and pop, and they seem to have a good selection of just about everything.
Vinyl seems to make a big difference in the way people appreciate listening to music.
The warmth of it, of the sound. We have kind of a tradition that we put on a record when we make dinner. It's just a nice tradition to do something to do together. We can look at all of our collection. Oh yeah, we got that from so-and-so. We got that from Repo Records when we were in Charlotte. We're actually here for my best friend's wedding from Maryland.
I always feel like my CD sounds so compact and compressed. Vinyl, it seems very open, like she said, warm, very nice, clean, crisp.
Love the pops, the crackles, all that good stuff, the physical part of playing music.
You'll notice the name is not Repo Records, it's Repo Record, singular.
Guy in Philadelphia has one called Repo Records.
Okay.
And he and I fought legally, and he grandfathered the S in. I called it Repo Record.
From the Beatles to beach music, classical to country, even the turntable for listening, you'll find it on a shelf at Repo. This is music to break a sublease, music to break a lease, and you cannot go wrong with Pinocchio or Tijuana Picnic featuring Colonel Sanders. It's all here. Anything you want, you're going to find in vinyl at Repo Record. Larry Sprinkle, on the record. Back to you.
I love it, Larry.
And I brought my collection. I just had a handful of 45s. Singles back in the day. This right here. This is actually a Rolling Stone record. Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome.
How expensive yellow button?
Yeah,
that's worth.
I
He
know.
said it's worth $5. The rest of these about $1 at the most.
Yeah.
Julio Iglesias and Willie Nelson.
Wow. How about that? You've got quite a collection there.
My parents had the big record player. I always play Annie, It's a Hard Knock Life, but they got rid of it all. And now I'm like, y'all should not have done that.
I have so many of these. I mean, if anybody needs some vinyl, give me a call.
Great.
What's old is new again.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks for the folks over at Repo, Jimmy and the gang over there. Head out there. It's over in Plaza Midwood.
All right, it's 6:09 this morning, and of course we're asking, where's the money? This time is Amazon is actually getting sued over access to the cancel button. So the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, says Amazon makes it too hard to cancel subscriptions. And the lawsuit takes it a step farther, adding the online retailer actually tricked customers into signing up for auto-renewing services. Here's 3 things to know. 1, Amazon is not being singled out here. The FCC does this often, investigating the cancellation process for all types of businesses. That's like cosmetics, newspapers, gyms. And 2, more companies actually are making it easier to quit and cancel. And it's about the money. Making it hard to end your plan can risk customers never returning to the service, costing businesses in the long run. Which brings us to 3. More companies are seeing what's called seasonal subscribers. So folks will pick up the plan when their favorite show is on and then cancel after watching. That's why we're asking this morning, have you ever forgotten to cancel a subscription? Make sure you text us at 704-329-3600. Guys, this is so funny because yesterday I realized that my gym account has been charging me twice every month for the past 4 months.
Yes, that happened to us when we moved here. It was like a year, and I was like, oh my gosh.
And you don't get it back.
No. But that's why you got to be vigilant about looking at those credit card statements and things. All right, Kia, thank you.
Verify, WCNC Charlotte.
Verify is all about trying to make a difference in the community by making sure that the community has the correct information. This is what we know, and hey, this is what we don't know. Sometimes you're actually surprised by the answer.
Verify the difference.
Verify is a great way to combat that misinformation, making sure that people know the process of the reporting.
We're hearing from the CATS driver involved in a shootout with a passenger.
You'll remember we showed you this surveillance video from the incident last month, and it shows the moments guns were drawn and shots fired. The driver has since lost his job, and we've learned he will not be facing criminal charges.
That's right. He sat down with our Jessie Pierre. She joins us with the revealing interview.
David Fullard says he is lucky to be alive, and he says this incident could have been prevented if the right safety measures were in place. He is calling for immediate action to be taken to protect his former fellow bus drivers before it's too late.
That's just mentally disturbing me about what happened to me. I could have been dead.
Former CATS bus driver David Fullard still trying to wrap his mind around what happened on May 18. This is video from inside the bus showing moments before gunshots were fired between Fullard and a passenger.
It's scary. It was real scary. And then I think about what happened. And I said, you know what? I don't never want to go through this again.
Along with the mental scars, you can see on his arm a physical one, where a bullet remains lodged inside him. Fullard is now without a job. It is against CATS policy to have a weapon while on duty. He worked for the agency for nearly 20 years.
Without this job, I wouldn't be able to get the things that I have. Cars, house, raise my kids the right way. But over the years, things just got worse.
For months, CATS bus drivers have called for better protections on the job, following several incidents of violence while working.
They are afraid that they might be the next victim, because they might not be so lucky, so they are scared. And still again, after all of this that went down, we still don't have the measurements of security out there to protect us.
Fullard says it comes down to increasing security or adding police presence at the transit centers or on buses.
Even if it's just a random bus check, to let the passengers and the bus drivers know we are secure. This will put the criminals a little bit more afraid to even come on these buses with weapons.
Fullard says he feels for his former co-workers as safety remains a top concern.
All I can do is just pray for them, that they can go home to their family, because there's nothing been put in place to protect them. All I can do is just get on my knees and pray. That's all I can do.
Right now, CATS and city leaders are working on a plan to substantially increase funds towards safety and security contracts within the next 2 years. To help with security, agency leaders also say all buses have a silent alarm system to call for help. Jessie Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
You've probably heard of the idea that you can calculate just how far away lightning is by counting the seconds between the lightning strike and when you hear the thunder. Well, one viewer sent us an email wanting to know if this method is actually true. Does it actually work? Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
Summertime means more storms for the Carolinas. We've certainly seen our share this week. Viewer Chris M. asked us, with all the storms lately, how accurate is the method of counting seconds between lightning and thunder to calculate miles for every second counted for how far away the lightning is? Our sources, WCNC meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees and the National Centers for Environmental Information. As little kids, you probably were told to count the seconds between lightning and thunder, and that's how many miles away lightning would be.
Honestly, I'm really glad you guys are doing this because it is something people get wrong all the time.
Brittany says lightning is actually closer than you think.
So it's whatever that second is, but those seconds are between the lightning and thunder. You have to do the division by 5 because that's factoring in the speed of sound.
So if you count 5 seconds between a lightning strike and thunder, that means lightning is just 1 mile away, not 5.
When you're outside, anytime, if there's thunder and lightning around, you could get struck because lightning can strike about 30 miles out of the center of the storm.
Data from the National Centers for Environmental Information show over the past 5 years, 4 deaths and 12 injuries have been reported in North Carolina from lightning strikes.
Basically, if you hear thunder or see lightning, go inside, wait 30 minutes till after the last time you saw it, and you're good to go.
So we can verify that no, counting seconds between lightning and thunder to calculate the miles for every second is not accurate. Instead, you have to divide by 5 to really know how close it is. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Well, I just learned something. How about that? If you have something you'd like us to verify, email us at verify@wcnc.com.
Okay. Let's turn our attention to the forecast here. I know, Brad, you are still tracking some activity on the radar this hour.
Yeah, the last little gasp of rain from this week's system. We're still seeing those push through the area. It was kind of a little boundary that moved across the area late this evening, right around sunset. It's still tracking east, moving into Union County, Stanley County, parts of Cabarrus and Rowan County. But let's put a quick storm track. It's moving roughly around 20 miles per hour. So here's the time of arrival. Again, it's not severe or strong, but there are some brief heavy downpours in there and winds gusting to about 25, 30 miles per hour. But honestly, that's about it out there. It's the last little batch of rain pushing in from the west. Tomorrow, big day in Charlotte. A lot of folks will be going around and checking out the city and going to the Charlotte FC game. Just a beautiful, beautiful night compared to what we had this week. Those temperatures are going to be in the low to mid 80s. So if you're going for tailgate, that's the only time I think we could see a stray shower, maybe a 20-30% chance. But as the game goes on, we should be fine. And if you're going to be doing other activities this weekend, the chance of rain is still there. It's just very small. So if you do hear a rumble of thunder, you may have to seek shelter for just a 20-30 minute time period, and then it will move out quickly. But Monday is going to be a different story. This cold front moving in from the west is going to produce some pretty strong storms to the west. If it hits in the middle of the afternoon on Monday, we're likely going to have to deal with some really strong storms. When we look at that severe weather outlook, look at the area to the west. This is tomorrow, Midwest down into the middle Mississippi River Valley. But then by Sunday, look at the big area of medium risk. Now, the question is always timing with these systems. If they hit 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, right during the peak heating of the day, you can see some strong storms. And already on Monday, you can see we have that low end risk across the area. Now, this could change dramatically, it could expand, it could go away based on the timing of that front. So kind of want to pay attention to the forecast updates throughout the weekend. Brittany and KJ will have you covered this weekend as we get closer to Monday. That'll be the highest chance of rain over the next 7 days and potentially some strong storms. Doing other activities this weekend outside, got picnics, going to games, going to need the bug spray because the mosquitoes are going to be out there. Skeeter meter almost off the charts this weekend. We've had so much rain in the last week. It's warm, it's humid, light winds, all the ideal conditions for mosquito activity this weekend. In the tropics, Brett is not an issue way down in the Caribbean falling apart. Cindy's the storm we're still watching. It's likely going to fall apart, becoming just a remnant low, maybe by the middle of or early next week and then heading out to sea. No issues for the United States with either one of these systems, but really early to see storms in this part of the Atlantic. Typically, we don't see storms in this part of the Atlantic in June. They typically form closer to home. There's the spaghetti plots keeping everything well away from us. This weekend, we deserve this. Better weather. Look at this. Just a 20% chance on Saturday, maybe even Sunday. Mid 80s on Saturday for the highs. We might get close to 90 though on Sunday. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Look at the warmth this weekend. Strong storms possible Monday, and then by late June standards, this will be a cool week. Our average high is up to 89. We're going to spend most of the week in the mid 80s with just isolated shower chances, and even next weekend, temperatures staying below average.
All right, Brad, thank you.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
Well, customers of a popular men's clinic still dealing with the fallout of its sudden closure. It's a story we first brought you earlier this week after viewers who scheduled appointments at Oak Valley Medical Clinic in North Charlotte arrived to find no one there. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at new evidence that the company is providing to those affected and hearing from the Better Business Bureau on what you should do if a business you paid suddenly closes down so you're not left asking, where's the money? Here's WCNC Charlotte's Kayland Hagwood.
A Charlotte men's clinic is providing new advice to clients after its sudden closure left some viewers asking, where's the money?
I didn't know that places would do that to that many people.
Hank Rivers says he was about 4 weeks into treatment at Charlotte's Oak Valley Medical when
all of a sudden that's where we ended up with the doors locked.
Now he says he's out of nearly $5,000. The clinic offers care for erectile dysfunction, with the company paying to advertise on shows like Charlotte Today in the past year. After an investigation by WCNC Charlotte, the company now updating its website, saying in part, quote, due to unforeseen events, we were forced to close our clinic and apologize for any inconvenience. encouraging patients and those mid-treatment to contact your finance company and request your plan be reversed for treatments not received. And if you paid by credit card, request a chargeback for services you didn't get, and the company won't refute it.
The sooner you take action, the better.
Tom Bartholomew is with the Better Business Bureau, investigating the incident.
If you've paid for services in advance that you have not received, then you're owed that money.
He encouraged those facing issues to file a formal complaint with their organization.
It's going to be interesting to see, and we may not recover any of our funds.
Kaylin Hagwood, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, is alcohol good for your health? It's a trending topic on social media right now after a recent study. Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg went to the experts to verify.
All right, it sounds too good to be true. A study published by experts at Massachusetts General Hospital found alcohol is linked to lowering the risk of heart disease. But is this true? Is drinking alcohol a good option if you want to improve your heart health? Let's verify. Our source is cardiologist Dr. Fahmi Farah and the American Heart Association. Farah says there's a lot of debate surrounding this topic. She says the study from Mass Gen looked at how alcohol impacts anxiety and its effects on the brain.
It's not a direct correlation for the heart by any means.
An article published by the American Heart Association back in 2019 says the best known positive health effect of alcohol is a small increase in HDL or good cholesterol. However, the American Heart Association says regular physical activity is a more effective way to raise HDL cholesterol. Farah says if you're looking for ways to improve your heart health, you probably shouldn't reach for that glass of red wine on the counter.
Red wine, yes, there is a component that has some beneficial effect for the heart. However, the adverse effects of alcohol far outweighs the beneficial effects.
While some believe alcohol is an effective way to relieve stress, Farah and the American Heart Association both say there are better ways to alleviate your stress. Both say staying physically active, eating healthy foods, getting enough sleep, and maintaining positive attitude are some ways to manage stress.
Managing your other risk factors like, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, smoking cessation, all of those are important in having a healthy heart.
So we can verify that no, drinking alcohol is not a good option if you want to improve your heart health. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
And if you have something you would like verified, email us at verify@wcnc.com.
Well, it's 5:07 this morning, and we're talking about what's trending. A massive search is underway for a missing submarine. It was touring Titanic wreckage. Right now, crews from both the U.S. and Canada are up against the clock to find the submarine carrying 5 people. The support boat followed the submarine first lost contact with the vessel Sunday morning. Now, the search area is roughly 900 miles off the coast of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Because the area is so remote, the Coast Guard admits it's been very challenging to conduct the search. They're using sonar and planes as well as coordinating with commercial ships in the area to try to find the sub. Now, the part of the ocean where the vessel disappeared is nearly 13,000 feet deep. It's being reported it likely has 2 more days of oxygen. A specialist with the company says it can be very difficult to communicate when the sub is that deep.
As the sub descends, and again, you're going down, almost 4 kilometers, as you get, it's really at several hundred feet, you begin to lose all ability to, there's no light obviously, but you lose ability to communicate as well. So there's no GPS down there. Communication is almost a sonar-like device, and so you're restricted to text messaging.
So now officials are racing to get a remotely operated vehicle to the site that's able to dive as deep as 20,000 feet to try and find the sub.
So terrifying.
You got to believe there's going to be new questions about whether expeditions like this are necessary and if they're safe.
One of the guys on this trip went on the SpaceX flight. So, Kia, thank you.
Now to connect the dots, when we make the news make sense, the tech industry warning of the threats posed by artificial intelligence. And you need to look no further than your local fast food chain.
Artificial intelligence is slowly taking over the drive-thru. Let's connect the dots.
Whether or not you've noticed, restaurants like Wendy's to White Castle have been using small amounts of AI in their drive-thrus for years. Wendy's CEO said the slowest part of the drive-thru is the ordering station. AI is able to cut down wait times by automating orders, relieving overworked employees, and filling in the holes at short-staffed restaurants. As more and more restaurants use AI, tech experts warn employees may soon be out of a job. AI can work long hours without pay or insurance. The technology, though, has some hiccups. AI is unable to hear customers in noisy environments, like when kids are in the car or music is playing. Right now, there's not enough data to show whether customers prefer AI over human employees. But experts say by the time the data is gathered, AI may have already taken over. And that is Connecting the Dots.
Wake up to the news that matters most with meteorologist and traffic reporter Chris Mulcahy.
And we're all clear. We're keeping you smarter, safer, and on time.
Start your day the Mulcahy way. See the difference. 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
Time now to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense, pork production is a $10 billion business here in North Carolina. Big. But a new law on the West Coast could change that. A recent decision from the Supreme Court could have big implications for North Carolina farmers. Let's connect the dots. The Supreme Court upholding a California law that bans the sale of pigs raised in small metal cages. They're called gestation crates, and they're used to raise more pigs in a smaller space. The law requires pigs to have more space in their cage, which is why animal rights advocates championed the legislation. But it's bad news for Tar Heel State farmers. North Carolina, one of the top pork producers in the state. And with California consuming 13% of all pork produced in the country, it could have a big impact on business. Almost all pig farms in North Carolina are family owned, but still, they may have to update their crates and make more space for those pigs. And that is Connecting the Dots.
We all want to protect our furry friends as the temps rise this summer, but one viewer is asking, if you shave your dog's fur, does that help him stay cool? Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
Keeping your pet cool during the summer months is super important, but here's a question from one of our viewers. They asked, will shaving your dog's fur coat actually keep them cool? Let's verify. Our sources, Megan Doherty from the Charlotte Humane Society and Tara Belzer, owner of Dilworth Dog Grooming. Belzer says shaving down your dog does not keep them cool. In fact, if it's a double-coated dog, it will actually make it worse for them.
You're taking away the protection from the sun, and the only way your dog really sweats is through their tongue. So taking away that protection and that extra coat is not the way to go about getting your dog cool.
Belzer says it's easy to look at a double-coated dog in the sun and assume they're sweating in the heat. But she says dogs don't sweat like humans do.
They do not sweat through their pores. They do not sweat through their skin. They sweat through their tongue.
Doherty says if you shave your dog's coat, you could actually be exposing their skin to the sun.
And a shaved dog is much more at risk for sunburn and maybe more likely to overheat without the protection of that fur to block out some of the rays of the sun.
Instead of shaving a pet, Doherty says pet owners should just brush their dog's fur every day to make sure air can move freely throughout the coat. So we can verify that no, shaving your dogs will not keep them cool in the summer. In fact, shaving them could expose them to the harmful rays of the sun. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
If you have something you would like verified, just email us at verify@wcnc.com.
When it comes to WCNC's chief meteorologist Brad Panovich, our viewers tell the whole story.
Hey, if you're new to the area, this meteorologist is awesome.
I always stick with Brad Panovich when it comes to severe weather. He's rarely wrong.
You should follow Brad if you don't already. He's usually right on the money with his forecast.
I don't look at anything else besides what Brad says. We are fortunate to have him here.
Brad Panovich. Experience the difference with WCNC Charlotte weather.
After decades of planning, the long-awaited International African American Museum will soon welcome visitors in Charleston. The now sacred space once saw enslaved Africans arrive from their homeland to a new world.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane made a trip down to the Low Country to give us a first-hand look. He's there live now in Charleston with a look at it. Richard.
This is absolutely awesome, guys. Good afternoon to you. Good Friday afternoon, all. Basically, I've been walking around here. They recommend an hour and a half to 2 hours. You're going to need a lot more than that to take all of this in. But hey, as I do, I know someone who can explain more what you'll see and experience when you come out to the International African American Museum. Martina Morale, how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Tell us a little bit about what folks are going to experience just walking through the doors here.
Well, of course, we are here at the African American Museum at the former site of Gatton's Wharf. We stand in our Atlantic Worlds Gallery, one of our 11 galleries within the museum. And here we talk about the African diaspora, we talk about the transatlantic slave trade, but we also talk about culture and art and experiences that African Americans have in the diaspora and beyond. And so we would like to welcome folks to our space to engage with all of the opportunities we have here.
And as we look at some videos, some of the things that are here, I mean, there's everything here. Like you said, there's exhibits on art, there's exhibits, there's even the genealogy information.
Yes, so we have 11 galleries here, including our Center for Family History. We have contemporary art, we have historical artifacts, we have touchable objects, we have interactives and digital engagement materials as well.
So people can come here and get lost and know that this is a story of a people brought to this country. There's, of course, realistic views of the pain, but there's also stories of uplifting and the promise of a brighter future.
We work to balance the pain and the sorrow with joy and triumph. And so we do that by talking, of course, about the transatlantic slave trade, but also talking about the results of that, right? We are still here, right? We are still making culture. We are still making history as a people, as members of the African diasporas.
This is a phenomenal place to come. We've got, if you have any desire to come down here, and you should, log on to our website at WCNC.com. We've got all the information, how you can come make a trip, experience it in just this little bit of time we spent. No justice whatsoever. This is phenomenal. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
When did you know what you wanted to be?
Hey Mom, the weather's on!
WCNC Charlotte's chief meteorologist, Brad Panovich, always knew what he was meant to do.
All right, don't forget your umbrella.
In fact, he joined the American Meteorological Society when he was 13. Now Brad is all grown up. You can see him right here on WCNC Charlotte, making sure you're informed and safe.
Hey, where did all my hair go?
Experience the difference.
Okay. Let's turn our attention to the forecast here. I know, Brad, you are still tracking some activity on the radar this hour.
Yeah, the last little gasp of rain from this week's system. We're still seeing those push through the area. It was kind of a little boundary that moved across the area late this evening, right around sunset. It's still tracking east, moving into Union County, Stanley County, parts of Cabarrus and Rowan County. Let's put a quick storm track. It's moving roughly around 20 miles per hour. So here's the time of arrival. Again, it's not severe or strong, but there are some brief heavy downpours in there and winds gusting to about 25, 30 miles per hour. But honestly, that's about it out there. It's the last little batch of rain pushing in from the west. Tomorrow, big day in Charlotte. A lot of folks will be going around and checking out the city and going to the Charlotte FC game. Just a beautiful, beautiful night compared to what we had this week. Those temperatures are going to be in the low to mid 80s. So if you're going for tailgate, that's the only time I think we could see a stray shower, maybe a 20-30% chance. But as the game goes on, we should be fine. And if you're going to be doing other activities this weekend, the chance of rain is still there. It's just very small. So if you do hear a rumble of thunder, you may have to seek shelter for just a 20-30 minute time period, and then it'll move out quickly. But Monday's going to be a different story. This cold front moving in from the west is going to produce some pretty strong storms to the west. If it hits in the middle of the afternoon on Monday, we're likely going to have to deal with some really strong storms. When we look at that severe weather outlook, look at the area to the west. This is tomorrow, Midwest down into the middle Mississippi River Valley. But then by Sunday, look at the big area of medium risk. Now, the question is always timing with these systems. If they hit 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, right during the peak heating of the day, you can see some strong storms. And already on Monday, you can see we have that low end risk across the area. Now, this could change dramatically, could expand, could go away based on the timing of that front. So kind of want to pay attention to the forecast updates throughout the weekend. Brittany and KJ will have you covered this weekend as we get closer to Monday. That'll be the highest chance of rain over the next 7 days and potentially some strong storms. Doing other activities this weekend outside, got picnics, going to games. going to need the bug spray because the mosquitoes are going to be out there. Skeeter meter almost off the charts this weekend. We've had so much rain in the last week. It's warm, it's humid, light winds, all the ideal conditions for mosquito activity this weekend. In the tropics, Brett is not an issue way down in the Caribbean falling apart. Cindy's a storm we're still watching. It's likely going to fall apart, becoming just a remnant low, maybe by the middle of or early next week, and then heading out to sea. No issues for the United States with either one of these systems, but really early to see storms in this part of the Atlantic. Typically, we don't see storms in this part of the Atlantic in June. They typically form closer to home. There's the spaghetti plots keeping everything well away from us. This weekend, we deserve this. Better weather. Look at this. Just a 20% chance on Saturday, maybe even Sunday. Mid-80s on Saturday for the highs. We might get close to 90, though, on Sunday. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Look at the warmth this weekend. Strong storms possible Monday, and then by late June standards, this will be a cool week. Our average high is up to 89. We're going to spend most of the week in the mid-80s with just isolated shower chances, and even next weekend, temperatures staying below average.
All right, Brad, thank you.
A recent survey outlining some of the biggest challenges facing small businesses reveals the struggle to keep workers and the length some business owners are going to fill in these gaps. WCNC Charlotte's Kaylin Hagwood spoke to the company behind the report and shares their advice to help improve workflow.
Small businesses are the backbone of cities around the country, but when it comes to staying afloat, attracting customers is just half the battle. According to a Lending Tree analysis, roughly 1 in 5 businesses fail within the first year. Scott Steersman, head of small business banking for Truist, says inflation, rising costs, and the economy are partly to blame.
So they're having to reimagine their own business models at the same time as they're running the business to retain those employees and talent. They've also had to increase their prices.
Truist sharing the results of their own survey, which outlines some of the challenges and efforts by businesses to survive. It shows nearly 70% of owners surveyed increased wages, time off, or offered remote work in the past year. One of the top investments for Charlotte area businesses was employee training and skill set development. Heath Campbell, who leads the Greater Charlotte Metro region of Truist, says creating employee recognition programs, flexible childcare, and even personality profiles can help.
Who is your best employee? Let's do a personality profile to see what traits and characteristics make them successful in this company.
Despite these ongoing challenges, there is some optimism, with more than half of survey respondents saying they believe conditions have improved compared to last year.
We're actually seeing more workers move into the entrepreneurship and start their own small business. It's the desire to follow their purpose.
To view more survey findings, just search for this story on our website, WCNC.com.
Well, it's a staffing shortage we could all feel on our roadways and in our communities. Right now, North Carolina Highway Patrol says it has about 250 trooper vacancies across the state, and that number could keep growing as several agencies face a shrinking police force. WCNC Charlotte's Lexi Wilson takes a look at the possible impacts.
Being a state trooper is no easy task, and we're learning that here in Mecklenburg County there is a shortage of troopers in one of the biggest counties in the state. Drive around Mecklenburg County and you know,
Clock is speeding 76 and a 55.
There's no shortage of speeding or crashes.
Our job is to go out there and try and reduce the collisions that are happening.
But when it comes to the number of troopers on our interstates and highways,
they are pretty short here in Mecklenburg.
According to NC Highway Patrol, Mecklenburg County is allotted 41 troopers. Right now, there are only 32 troopers assigned, and that number doesn't include some who may be on a special assignment. It's a gap that means fewer troopers on roads to keep us safe.
If Mecklenburg, or let's just say a different county, is short on troopers and they need the relief, we're going to send other troopers from different counties that may be full in to help them out.
Trooper Daryl Simpson helps with recruitment for NC Highway Patrol. He says there are several reasons for the shortage, including many going into retirement and because of the pay. The starting salary is $46,000, a challenge as they compete with other agencies.
We're always trying to get more money.
And coming up at 6, we take a look at the North Carolina Highway Patrol salary and how it compares to surrounding states. Reporting in Huntersville for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Lexi Wilson.
The new and improved WCNC Plus, now on Roku and Fire TV. Watch local live newscasts, get extended breaking news coverage, and see local programs and specials. The new and improved WCNC Plus, now on Roku and Fire TV.
Well, a lot of people have turned to warehouse clubs to cut grocery costs, but did you know there are many ways to save that have nothing to do with buying in bulk?
Yeah, we touched on some of these a couple days ago. WCNC Charlotte's Carolyn Bruck is here now with part 2 of the non-food related buys. So we're not left asking, where's the money?
That is right. And every little bit helps, right? So let's get into it. What to buy at warehouse clubs to save money. That's the goal. So yesterday I brought you these 4. So prescription drugs, eye care, things like contact lenses and prescription glasses, gasoline up to 30 cents less a gallon at warehouse clubs, and gift cards up to 20% off of face value. So let's get to number 5, cleaning products. So yes, just like you can buy food in bulk, you can buy cleaning products in bulk, but it has to be specific cleaning products, ones with long shelf life. So laundry detergent and multi-purpose products, they have that long shelf life, so buying in bulk will save you money. How about this? It's this time of year when we're all looking to get away, right? So you can go to your warehouse club and they have in-house travel agents that can get you deals on things like airfare, hotel stays, car rentals, cruises. I mean, you name it, they've got it. So definitely look for that. Electronics, these you see from time to time, right, at your warehouse club, but the deals are especially good during Black Friday and the holiday shopping season. So keep that in mind. The 8th thing, clothing. So yes, the basics, you can buy socks, undershirts, cotton shorts, sweatpants, things like that. But you can also find really good brand name products for discounted prices. So that's what to buy at warehouse clubs to save money.
I will say I bought some clothes from Costco and they are rugged, man. They last.
They last. It's good quality.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's good to
Good
know.
savings. Yeah.
We appreciate this. Thank you.
Yep.
She flew to New York and was actually walking into the concert with her kids when she realized the tickets that she bought on her phone and paid for were no longer hers.
I saw that Billy Joel was coming to Madison Square Garden.
Pam Stowe is turning 70 this year and thought it would be fun to celebrate with her 2 sons who live in New York City.
I'm going to surprise them with tickets. I have a big birthday coming up, and I thought this is a big splurge. It's a big splurge, but I'm going to do it.
She admits she spent a lot of money, $3,000 to get 4 great seats.
And I was so excited I couldn't sleep that night.
She got an email from StubHub confirming her order and the fact that the money was taken from her bank account. Stowe says she waited to download the tickets, hoping to surprise the boys with how great the seats were, and she didn't want to take any chances with technology.
I'm almost 70 years old. And I decided, and I'm not that great at technology, and I thought, I'm going to wait and get with my kids before I open the email with the tickets.
But just an hour before Billy Joel was set to take the stage,
my son starts going through my emails, and he says, Mom, the tickets are gone.
Stowe had received this email from StubHub sent the day before the concert saying your seller is no longer able to provide the tickets you originally purchased.
I just burst into tears. I couldn't even talk. I was so upset.
We spoke with representatives for StubHub and they told us, quote, less than an hour before the show, the buyer contacted customer service that she was unable to locate her tickets. After troubleshooting with the buyer, StubHub began the process of finding replacement tickets.
Did they give any explanation as to what happened with the tickets?
No, except that it was the third party's fault. And my son asked them who the third party might be, and they said either they weren't sure, and the tickets were either probably released to either Ticketmaster or there's another ticket site.
StubHub said that to you on the phone?
To my son, yes. And so, I mean, they just hijacked our tickets, in my opinion.
A rep from StubHub told us unopened tickets are not automatically relisted as they belong to the buyer.
If I sold you these glasses and you gave me $20 for them, they would be yours forever and to put on right now or never. They're yours. I don't understand the concept of you buy something and it can be taken from you. I just had my head full of what this night was going to be like. And the kids were so excited, but it was just, it was a huge disappointment.
A StubHub rep told us that this was a technology error, and they advise all customers to immediately download the email and, of course, the tickets as soon as you receive it to avoid any potential problems. And they say that gives them more time to troubleshoot if issues come up. We can tell you StubHub did completely refund all of her money for the tickets and give her a $200 credit. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Booten, WCNC Charlotte.
When I think about the community, I think about the time that I've been here. I've been in this community almost my entire adult life. So you get to know the people. When you know what they care about, then that's what you care about. This community looks at all of us who do weather here at WCNC Charlotte as part of their family. And when you're part of their family, you want to make sure you do it just for them.
WCNC Charlotte's Carolyn Bruck is here with the price you'll pay this summer, and something tells me we all might be asking, where's the money this year, Carolyn?
Okay, so I've got some good news and some bad news. So let's get into it. The cost of summer vacation. To understand this, we've got to get to the Consumer Price Index. So what is this? This is a measure of the average change over time and the prices paid by consumers, all of us, for goods and services. The All Items Index over a year, so the last 12 months ending in May, is up 4%. That, it is up, it's an increase, but I will let you know that this is the smallest increase since March of 2021. So I guess we're heading in the right direction. And the good news is some items, categories relating to travel are even lower. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Airline tickets.
Oh, yeah.
They are 13.4% less expensive than they were just 1 year ago. And I mean, the prices are still really high, but this definitely is a start. Rental cars. Once you get to your destination, right, you need to have something to drive around. Rental cars are going to cost you 12.4% less than they did last summer. And then, your rental car, you got to return it with gas in it, right? And this is some great news, 19.7% down from just 1 year ago. Now, I said there was some good news and bad news, right? Are you ready for the bad news? Mm-hmm. Hotels and motels. This is going to cost you more than it did last year, 3.7% more, in fact. Restaurants, because once you go somewhere, it's not like you have a kitchen typically. So 6.8% higher there. And then admissions. Once you're at your destination, you want to go do fun things, and that's going to cost you more as well, 4.6% higher. So that's the cost of summer vacation. We've got good and bad news here.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of restaurants are still trying to, recover from the pandemic,
for sure.
and not having staff, and trying to get all that food that they needed in. So it's created a kerfuffle in some sense.
Remember the rental cars too?
Oh man,
you couldn't even get one.
It was like, it was very competitive and very
used
difficult,
lots needed them. Used car lots needed them. Anyway, Carolyn, thank you so much.
Yep.
Located right here in the heart of Plaza Midwood, the House of Africa is more than just this amazing collection. It really is a Charlotte landmark. Lessons can be learned while you shop because everything there has its own story, its own history.
We don't just carve to carve. It's ceremonial. We have at House of Africa pieces that are carved last week or 20 years ago, and we have pieces this way that date from the 17th century to the 20th century.
Pat Nouget is the founder and owner of the House of Africa. He's brought amazing art, clothing, books, jewelry from all over the African continent.
We also believe that knowledge deeply rooted in culture and heritage is power. The lack of it is confusion, fear, and restriction.
Using a shop not only as a place of business, but a true connection to making this a better community for everyone.
I believe that the future is going to be bright. I believe in that the future will be bright. I believe in it. But we also call on togetherness in order to have that future to be bright. The togetherness. We need to be, as people, as a community, to be one. Because blood may be thicker than water, but it is the water of life that keep all of us connected.
Even though it's thousands of miles away, you can take a trip to the continent of Africa right here in Charlotte in Plaza Midwood. Larry Sprinkle at the House of Africa. Back to you.
Hey YouTube, this is Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here at WCNC Charlotte. We want you to head over to our Weather IQ YouTube page, where we're making you smarter and safer. We have a passion for weather science, and we want you to understand what's happening when the weather changes, because in the end, that's what keeps you safe. It's not about being scared, it's about being informed. Browse our collection of fun and informative clips and look for new segments every week. We're here to raise your weather IQ. Experience the difference on WCNC Charlotte.
Okay, let's turn our attention to the forecast here. I know, Brad, you are still tracking some activity on the radar this hour.
Yeah, the last little gasp of rain from this week's system. We're still seeing those push through the area. It was kind of a little boundary that moved across the area late this evening, right around sunset. It's still tracking east, moving into Union County, Stanley County, parts of Cabarrus and Rowan County. Let's put a quick storm track. It's moving roughly around 20 miles per hour. So here's the time of arrival. Again, it's not severe or strong, but there are some brief heavy downpours in there and winds gusting to about 25, 30 miles per hour. But honestly, that's about it out there. It's the last little batch of rain pushing in from the west. Tomorrow, big day in Charlotte. A lot of folks will be going around and checking out the city and going to the Charlotte FC game. Just a beautiful, beautiful night compared to what we had this week. Those temperatures are going to be in the low to mid 80s. So if you're going for tailgate, that's the only time I think we could see a stray shower, maybe a 20-30% chance. But as the game goes on, we should be fine. And if you're going to be doing other activities this weekend, the chance of rain is still there. It's just very small. So if you do hear a rumble of thunder, you may have to seek shelter for just a 20-30 minute time period, and then it'll move out quickly. But Monday is going to be a different story. This cold front moving in from the west is going to produce some pretty strong storms to the west. If it hits in the middle of the afternoon on Monday, we're likely going to have to deal with some really strong storms. When we look at that severe weather outlook, look at the area to the west. This is tomorrow, Midwest down into the middle Mississippi River Valley. But then by Sunday, look at the big area of medium risk. Now, the question is always timing with these systems. If they hit 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, right during the peak heating of the day, you can see some strong storms. And already on Monday, you can see we have that low end risk across the area. Now, this could change dramatically, could expand, could go away based on the timing of that front. So kind of want to pay attention to the forecast updates throughout the weekend. Brittany and KJ will have you covered this weekend as we get closer to Monday. That'll be the highest chance of rain over the next 7 days and potentially some strong storms. Doing other activities this weekend outside, got picnics, going to games. Going to need the bug spray because the mosquitoes are going to be out there. Skeeter meter almost off the charts this weekend. We've had so much rain in the last week. It's warm, it's humid, light winds, all the ideal conditions for mosquito activity this weekend. In the tropics, Brett is not an issue way down in the Caribbean falling apart. Cindy's a storm we're still watching. It's likely going to fall apart, becoming just a remnant low, maybe by the middle of or early next week and then heading out to sea. No issues for the United States with either one of these systems, but really early to see storms in this part of the Atlantic. Typically, we don't see storms in this part of the Atlantic in June. They typically form closer to home. There's the spaghetti plots keeping everything well away from us. This weekend, we deserve this. Better weather. Look at this. Just a 20% chance on Saturday, maybe even Sunday. Mid 80s on Saturday for the highs. We might get close to 90 though on Sunday. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Look at the warmth this weekend. Strong storms possible Monday, and then by late June standards, this will be a cool week. Our average high is up to 89. We're going to spend most of the week in the mid 80s with just isolated shower chances, and even next weekend, temperatures staying below average.
All right, Brad, thank you.
An investigation is underway after a deadly shooting, though, in East Charlotte earlier this morning. It happened just after 2 a.m. Officers responding to a call on East Independence Boulevard, just near Sharon Forest Drive. Our crews on scene this morning saw the crime scene surrounding Fusion Lounge. Medic confirming one person died after being shot, and 3 others were taken to the hospital with serious injuries. No word yet on any potential suspects. And tonight we're learning the identity of the person that died from the actual family. He is identified as 33-year-old Leonard Gaddy. His friend Jade Mullis says that Gaddy was with her and other friends at Fusion Lounge this morning. She says he had stepped outside for a few minutes, and that's when the shooting happened. She says she was with him right when he died.
And I tried to do CPR. He was alive. but he got shot in the lungs. He was sweet. He was so sweet. I've known him since we were little. We grew up together.
Well, there's still limited information at this time, and we're waiting to hear from CMPD to learn a little bit more. But in the wake of this tragedy, Gaddy leaves behind his family and a 6-year-old daughter. WCNC Charlotte's Austin Walker sits down exclusively with his friends and family tonight, showing that last gift that he will give his little girl.
For this family, each person fits together like a puzzle. But tonight, it's missing one valuable piece.
Sadness. I was angry.
Early Saturday morning, Leonard Gaddy was shot and killed outside Fusion Lounge in East Charlotte.
My sister woke me up. She got a call from his sister.
Shatara Mobley, a family member, recalls the moment they found out.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, we got up and we just went over there to the crime scene and saw Leonard laying there. You right, Juicy?
Ariana.
Thinking about how my niece is finna grow up without a dad. Thinking about how we break the news to her to tell her that today he was supposed to take her to Big Air and he won't be able to take her today. How she gotta grow up with just memories.
The memories that stick with the family.
Leonard is the type of guy who you would play a beat and he'll instantly start rapping.
In Ariana's hands, a Build-A-Bear her mom took her to get today. And when she squeezes the paw, a special message plays.
Daddy, I love you. You need to send voice messages. Because I can't read that.
I love you too, baby girl, and I'm proud of you, okay? Keep up the good work.
The last gift he will give to her, and the name of the bear.
Lanai. Her bear name is Lanai.
Similar to her dad's name.
Girl, why would it be yours, man? Okay.
The family works to fit back together.
I got to experience Leonard growing up. She only got a few years with him.
Filling that empty space with cherished memories. In East Charlotte, Austin Walker, WCNC Charlotte.
This rundown parking lot is really ground zero in the debate over growth here in Plaza Midwood. A developer is wanting to put a 10-story building right where I'm standing. Liam McNamee and his pup Darby live right around the corner from where that new building will go up.
That seems like it's going to be really large. They're already building that giant thing down the street.
That giant thing Liam's referring to, a sprawling 12-acre project named Commonwealth along Central Avenue. It'll include a hotel, apartments, shops, and restaurants.
It's really difficult trying to drive anywhere. The traffic's always terrible on the highways.
All the growth is exciting, but it comes with a cost. How will all those new renters, shoppers, and workers get around already congested streets? Groups like Sustain Charlotte advocate for smart growth.
The conversation about congestion and growth is not connecting with the solution, which is that we need to really invest in transportation choices.
But that doesn't come cheap. The city's $13 billion transit plan remains in limbo without a solid funding source. Under the plan, a Silver Line would stretch behind that new 10-story building near Liam, and the Gold Line streetcar extension would stretch deeper into the neighborhood. But those plans, possibly more than a decade from being a reality.
I definitely would like to see better public transportation.
Relieving the congestions on the roads, but in the meantime, the buildings are getting bigger and bigger as the roads seem to get smaller and smaller.
Yeah, with everyone driving passenger cars, it's just difficult. It's just so congested all the time everywhere.
As for the future of that possible 10-story building where I'm standing, city leaders will make the final decision come mid-July. In Plaza Midwood, Ben Thompson, WCNC Charlotte.
At WCNC Charlotte, we believe it is crucial to make a difference in our communities.
That's why we go beyond just reporting the news. We ask, where's the money to hold the powerful accountable and get money back into your pockets?
Our Verify team takes claims, finds sources, and gets you answers.
And we're keeping you weather aware, making you safer and smarter.
I'm Vanessa Rufus.
And I'm Colin Mayfield. Join us weeknights at 5, 6, and 11 and see the difference for yourself.
Only on WCNC Charlotte.
Well, the Carter Work Project to benefit Habitat for Humanity is returning to Charlotte with WCNC Charlotte as a proud partner. Volunteers will come together to build 39 new homes at an affordable housing development near the airport in West Charlotte.
Now, most of the construction will happen the first week of October, and the neighborhood is actually going up on land with very special meaning here. WCNC Charlotte Sarah French shares how Habitat is seeking solutions to this affordable housing crisis.
This field of dirt will soon be home sweet home for dozens of families. It's the site of a new affordable housing development, 39 single-family homes.
This is something that has been envisioned for years.
Habitat for Humanity of Charlotte CEO Laura Belcher says the land has special meaning.
The land actually is the former site of the Plato Price School, which had many great prominent graduates from the African-American community in the 50s and 60s.
Some of the students were interviewed for a Habitat video as the housing project moved forward.
My name is Eddie Lee Hoover, MD. I'm a proud product of Plato Price High School.
I am Nellie Ashford, class of 1961, the greatest class of Plato Price High School.
Founded in 1915, Plato Price School stood as the centerpiece to a once thriving black neighborhood in West Charlotte. The school was named in honor of Mr. Plato Price, a Mecklenburg County Board of Education member and a staunch advocate for education opportunities for African American children. The school had several notable alumni, including prominent cardiothoracic surgeon Dr. Eddie L. Hoover, renowned folk artist Nellie Ashford, and former Congressman Mel Watt.
Plato Price High School had a sense of pride. It was a very tight community.
But the school closed its doors in 1966 as part of Charlotte-Mecklenburg School Board's desegregation plan. The city of Charlotte acquired the land in 1983, and the school was demolished.
The land has really sat vacant, and so the city of Charlotte and Habitat partnered, and we were able to secure the donation of the land from the city and then envision what this could be, a best and highest calling for the land, and 39 homes is the way we're going to go.
The neighborhood will be called the Meadows at Plato Price, and it's located in a spot where affordable houses are desperately needed. In this part of Charlotte, the average rate of homeownership is just 26% compared to the rest of the county, which is at 57%. Black Charlotteans are far more likely to be homeless than the average resident. Out of almost 2,700 people who are homeless in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, more than 3/4 are black. Hoover says he would like to see the Plato Price Alumni Association have a mentoring presence in this new community.
The reason why Plato Price produced really was a significantly large number of successful students, our teaching staff. The way they shepherded us, the way they encouraged us. So they're the ones who talked to us about encouraging us to do, not just go to college, but just do things in high school to make us better citizens, make us more full-rounded people.
Almost 60 years after Plato Price School closed its doors, a new neighborhood is opening, bringing a new start for so many.
It makes me feel undescribably happy to know that now that property where I walked, there are new people coming and gonna revitalize the area and have a sense of home. It makes me feel good inside. It makes my heart beat differently to know that now, rather than just look at an empty field, I'm going to see people with homes and with children for our future.
For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Sarah French.
Tonight, the city of Charlotte is working to fix a costly mistake. That error happened early in the pandemic, and it cost a local nonprofit more than $230,000. This is money that would have helped small businesses in the University City area.
No doubt, and it would have gone unnoticed had WCNC Charlotte not double-checked the city's math. In direct response to Nate Morabito's investigation, the city is now working to make things right. Tonight, Nate's asking, where's the money?
At the upcoming Charlotte City Council meeting Monday, leaders are expected to approve a $230,000 grant the city should have given to University City Partners in 2020. The district's council representative told us not only is the city working to make this right, there's a better process now in place to make sure a mistake like this doesn't happen again. September 2020, 6 months into a pandemic that kept people home.
The crowd is not as large as it was in the past.
And left small business owners fighting for survival.
I'm glad they still move forward with it.
University City Partners worked to keep Charlotte's second largest employment hub alive.
We have small businesses that are so critical.
University City Partners did its part.
They were doing great work.
Without a $237,000 grant the city should have awarded the nonprofit.
There was a human error, and we're going to make it up to them.
Councilmember Renee Perkins Johnson and others at City Hall only learned of that error after WCNC Charlotte discovered it.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
As part of our detailed review of the city's federally funded Small Business Support Grant program, we found 3 other organizations that secured a combined $430,000 in grants despite scoring lower on their applications, eventually blamed on a human error in calculation when adding up the score sheets.
I'm the biggest cheerleader for District 4.
Perkins Johnson sits on University City Partners' board and says she advocated for the nonprofit once she found out about the city's mistake.
What do you want the taxpayers to know?
I want them to know that I ran on public accountability, and I'm consistently fighting for that. So that's important to me, that's important to all of council, and we're going to make this right.
Perkins Johnson says while the organizations that received the money still use the funds for the right purpose of sustaining small business, city staff have assured her there are additional checks and balances in place.
We're going to have more than 2 people now reviewing those numbers
to make sure public dollars are better protected in the future. So where's the city finding the extra money to correct this error? The plan is to use federal dollars through the American Rescue Plan Act. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
Well, rental prices in Charlotte are growing exponentially, according to a new report out from rent.com tonight, increasing more than 20% in just the last 3 years. Prices going in the wrong direction, which researchers say is not the national trend, leaving many to ask, where's the money tonight?
It actually dropped about 0.5% from May 2022 to May 2023.
Researcher John Leckie says after nearly 2 years of consistent upward growth, national median rent prices are coming down.
The rental market will tend to follow the housing market, right? So as the housing market took off early in the pandemic, that was, rents soon after followed.
Leckie explains in some markets like the Pacific Northwest, where rents increased dramatically during the pandemic, they're finally seeing relief. But that news looks much different here in Charlotte.
Charlotte never really saw that drop and never really saw that peak. And so, rents in Charlotte now are more expensive really than they've ever been.
From May of 2022 to May of this year, rents have risen nearly 8% per Rent's annual report. And that number ballooned to 16% from May 2021 to May 2023.
Fewer people are moving around. That's enticing people to sell their homes. And people who are locked into sort of a lower interest rate are unwilling to sell their homes and go out and try to buy a new one.
Leckie explains short supply is driving up demand for housing that's affordable, driving rent prices up coincidentally. He says oftentimes people are looking outside of Charlotte proper to find more bang for their buck.
We're seeing a lot of outbound migration. And so that sort of suggests to me that it's a bit of a supply issue. Core cities remain, more expensive than the suburbs, but the suburbs are rising faster than that core city.
Leckie says expensive rents in places like Uptown are driving rents up in surrounding areas.
As it grows so quickly, there's just not enough, places for people to create that affordable housing.
So according to Rent, the top destinations regionally outside of Charlotte to relocate are Raleigh and Greensboro, North Carolina, in addition to Charleston, Columbia, and Greenville, South Carolina. Well, new for you tonight at 6, a Charlotte toddler is fighting a rare disease that means he needs a major medical procedure. It's so rare, doctors initially misdiagnosed him, telling his mom that he had just bad allergies.
Yeah, WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden tells us what the family is hoping for now.
It's a rare form of a rare disease. That means this 20-month-old little boy needs a kidney.
He is a very, very happy baby.
If not for the hospital bed and all the tubes he's connected to, you might not know 20-month-old Israel is as sick as he is.
It's been a lot.
The little boy and his mom spent months trying to figure out exactly what was going on.
His eyes were very, very puffy.
At first, several doctors thought it was just allergies.
He was completely swollen. I didn't recognize him. Like, his head was swollen, his whole body was swollen.
They've been seen by their primary care doc, they've been seen in emergency departments. They tend to be allergic kids anyway, and so their eyes are a little bit puffy. They'll get put on Claritin or Benadryl or things like that.
Dr. Susan Massengill is the head of pediatric nephrology at Levine Children's Hospital. She knew immediately this was not allergies, but instead a rare form of congenital nephrotic syndrome or kidney disease. They see about 25 cases a year here.
This is not something that we can fix with medications.
It's a genetic condition that requires a new kidney, a transplant, but waiting for a kidney can be a dangerous time because patients like Izzy are so prone to infection.
Because of their tremendous risk for overwhelming life-threatening infection, if they get a fever, they come in the hospital. When they're really swollen, they come in the hospital. If they have a blood clot, they come in the hospital.
So the doctor removed Izzy's kidneys, and the toddler is now on dialysis 3 times a week, 4 hours a day.
I'm just very grateful that there's something that could be done. So that gives me hope.
Israel is on the transplant list. Doctors say pediatric patients typically wait 6 months to a year for a kidney and will likely need another transplant as an adult.
If we look at all the dollars that are spent on research in our country, the least amount is spent on kidney disease. And so we're a big center here for nephrotic syndrome. We do a lot of research on that, and we're finally making some headway. We're improving the therapies that we have.
Mom is nervous, but grateful.
I want to say he is my whole world now. Everything that I do is for him.
In Charlotte, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
Connect the dots and let us clear up the confusion. We're here to make sure the news makes sense. And with Connect the Dots, you'll understand how the headlines impact your family. See the difference on WCNC Charlotte.
Welcome back. A Charlotte businesswoman says what she thought would be the best time of her life, finally realizing a decades-long dream of opening her own company, ended up being the most expensive lesson of her life, leaving her asking, where's the money?
She says a contractor took $40,000 and $40,000 in work she says she did not get. When we brought her story to the experts, they say there were red flags aplenty, and we can all learn from this.
Hiking buddy.
Amanda Hebblethwaite is getting some playtime in with her foster pup, Bobby Brown. He's one of several doggy guests at Planet Pup, which opened its doors early last month at long last.
It took me literally the whole 40 years of my life.
But the business owner says her lifelong dreams of an animal care company were nearly dashed.
It hit us hard. We got to a point where we didn't even know if we wanted to continue.
Hebblethwaite says months back she was looking for a contractor to help get her doggy daycare vision off the ground when a neighbor tagged one they knew on her Facebook page.
He seemed like he knew what he was talking about. I asked him if he was bonded and insured. He told me yes. I guess the excitement of everything just had me caught up in the moment.
She says there was no contract, and the contractor quoted her $40,000, a third of which he wanted up front. Hebblethwaite says he started on the floors, but then the project ran into some red tape, a hurdle she says the contractor promised he would clear.
A couple weeks went by and I'm like, hey, have you heard anything? I really want to get this going. And he's like, oh no, it takes a while.
With the on-site work on hold, Hebblethwaite says the contractor promised to build her kennels at home and install them once the hold was over. Meantime, she says he kept asking for more money for labor and supplies. And when she wanted progress reports,
every week it was something else. He had appendicitis, his son was in the hospital, he was back in the hospital. He went to Florida and lost his wallet. It was just, the excuses were crazy. And after a while, I was just like, listen, are you taking my money?
That's when she says he got defensive, offered to meet up and return her money and supplies, but never showed. She says she started searching his name online and found a prior mugshot for charges of taking money, but not doing any work.
I knew right then I got robbed.
There are so many people that have that itch, especially through the pandemic, to become an entrepreneur. And they don't have the knowledge.
Tom Bartholomew with the Better Business Bureau says Hebblethwaite's story is an important reminder to vet and verify, even in a tight labor market when it's tempting to loosen standards to get a job done. Bartholomew says a quick search found the contractor in question has no license, highlighting what he says is a little-known fact about North Carolina law.
In North Carolina, you don't have to have a license unless you're doing jobs that are more than $30,000. Or you're in a specific trade like electrician or plumber, something like that.
Attorney Gary Monty says Hebblethwaite's case throws up several red flags for him.
If somebody does act offended when you're asking basic questions, that should be a hint to you that you don't need to be doing business with them.
And the lack of contract, he says, could also make it harder to pursue the case in court.
It could be a piece of yellow notebook paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With what's the date, what's supposed to be done, how much are we going to pay each other, and then signatures at the bottom of the page. I cannot tell you how valuable that would be, how much money that might save you in the future.
A lesson hard learned for Hebblethwaite, whose eagerness to finally get going almost landed her dreams in the doghouse.
Just really do your research on people. Just a quick Google of somebody's name could save you literally thousands of dollars at the end.
Now, Bartholomew also says it is crucial budding business owners educate themselves on the ins and outs of legal dealings as much as possible. That's because he says many protective laws in North Carolina cover consumers, but not business owners. And that's because business owners are assumed by the system to be more savvy than the average consumer. Now, we chose not to name the contractor since Hebblethwaite says police have not pursued charges at that time. She's still going to try to see what will happen on that front. She's also saying that she's in the process of vetting out a lawsuit against him. We did try to email the contractor in question. I called him on his cell phone. He did not respond. So we will continue to push for answers on that front. But we do have some more tips meantime on protecting yourself on our website, including a link to that database we showed you in that story to search for contractor licenses.
Okay, so we all love our pets, but when it comes to your mail carrier, they may not be man's best friend. After more than 5,300 dog attacks last year, the U.S. Postal Service says owners need to make some changes or they could find themselves without a mailman or woman at their door. WCNC Charlotte's Kaylin Hagwood explains.
It's an issue so common you've probably seen it on TV. But the U.S. Postal Service says dogs going after mail carriers is no joke.
We touch every home and business in America, so we just want to make sure that everybody stays safe, including pets.
They're sounding off on the issue, sharing new data on just how many attacks there have been, with more than 5,300 postal workers reportedly attacked by dogs in the last year.
In North Carolina, there were 146 dog attacks last year. 21 of those took place in Charlotte. So it may not seem something that is a high number, but to us, one bite is one bite too many.
To help, they're sending out messages to homeowners, encouraging them to put their pets away.
Make sure that they are in an area that is fenced so that they can't access the carrier when he's trying to get to the mailbox. If you have a pet that is indoors, but for some reason you need to, engage the carrier, keep that pet in another room.
Postal workers can make note of homes that have a pet so they're not caught by surprise. And if a carrier feels threatened by a dog that's at a home or roaming the neighborhood, that owner and the pet's neighbors could be asked to pick up their mail at the post office.
We know most dogs are friendly and everybody thinks their dog might be friendly, but the best way to keep a carrier safe is to limit that interaction.
No laughing matter, but an effort to stop a years-long issue. Kaylin Hagwood, WCNC Charlotte.
Okay. Let's turn our attention to the forecast here. I know, Brad, you are still tracking some activity on the radar this hour.
Yeah, the last little gasp of rain from this week's system. We're still seeing those push through the area. It was kind of a little boundary that moved across the area late this evening, right around sunset. It's still tracking east, moving into Union County, Stanley County, parts of Cabarrus and Rowan County. Let's put a quick storm track. It's moving roughly around 20 miles per hour. So here's the time of arrival. Again, it's not severe or strong, but there are some brief heavy downpours in there and winds gusting to about 25, 30 miles per hour. But honestly, that's about it out there. It's the last little batch of rain pushing in from the west. Tomorrow, big day in Charlotte. A lot of folks will be going around and checking out the city and going to the Charlotte FC game. Just a beautiful, beautiful night compared to what we had this week. Those temperatures are going to be in the low to mid 80s. So if you're going for tailgate, that's the only time I think we could see a stray shower, maybe a 20-30% chance. But as the game goes on, we should be fine. And if you're going to be doing other activities this weekend, the chance of rain is still there. It's just very small. So if you do hear a rumble of thunder, you may have to seek shelter for just a 20-30 minute time period, and then it'll move out quickly. But Monday is going to be a different story. This cold front moving in from the west is going to produce some pretty strong storms to the west. If it hits in the middle of the afternoon on Monday, we're likely going to have to deal with some really strong storms. When we look at that severe weather outlook, look at the area to the west. This is tomorrow, Midwest down into the middle Mississippi River Valley. But then by Sunday, look at the big area of medium risk. Now, the question is always timing with these systems. If they hit 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, right during the peak heating of the day, you can see some strong storms. And already on Monday, you can see we have that low end risk across the area. Now, this could change dramatically, could expand, could go away based on the timing of that front. So kind of want to pay attention to the forecast updates throughout the weekend. Brittany and KJ will have you covered this weekend as we get closer to Monday. That'll be the highest chance of rain over the next 7 days and potentially some strong storms. Doing other activities this weekend outside, got picnics, going to games. Going to need the bug spray because the mosquitoes are going to be out there. Skeeter meter almost off the charts this weekend. We've had so much rain in the last week. It's warm, it's humid, light winds, all the ideal conditions for mosquito activity this weekend. In the tropics, Brett is not an issue way down in the Caribbean falling apart. Cindy's a storm we're still watching. It's likely going to fall apart, becoming just a remnant low, maybe by the middle of or early next week and then heading out to sea. No issues for the United States with either one of these systems, but really early to see storms in this part of the Atlantic. Typically, we don't see storms in this part of the Atlantic in June. They typically form closer to home. There's the spaghetti plots keeping everything well away from us. This weekend, we deserve this. Better weather. Look at this, just a 20% chance on Saturday, maybe even Sunday. Mid 80s on Saturday for the highs. We might get close to 90 though on Sunday. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Look at the warmth this weekend. Strong storms possible Monday, and then by late June standards, this will be a cool week. Our average high is up to 89. We're going to spend most of the week in the mid 80s with just isolated shower chances, and even next weekend, temperatures staying below average.
All right, Brad, thank you.
As hurricane season gets underway, forecasters are using critical technology to help keep you and your family safe. In this week's Weather IQ, meteorologist KJ Jacobs explains how satellite data can help track tropical systems out at sea.
Thousands of satellites are currently orbiting planet Earth, including some that track major weather events. Meteorologists like myself rely on this tool now more than ever. Weather satellites are like another set of eyes, some 22,000 miles above the Earth's equator. Dan Brown with the National Hurricane Center explains how satellites play a critical role to help identify tropical storms and hurricanes over the Atlantic basin.
Before we had satellites, we used to sometimes send aircraft, reconnaissance aircraft out maybe to try to find the tropical waves, try to find storms. That's why they're called hurricane hunters. They literally used to hunt for these storms. But now with satellites, we're able to monitor around the clock each and every day where these waves are located, if that thunderstorm activity is becoming more organized, and if that system might go on to develop.
From the Gulf of Mexico to the Caribbean Sea and the main development region in the Atlantic Ocean, satellites are constantly monitoring the potential storm zone. The Western Hemisphere is scanned every 15 minutes, the continental U.S. every 5 minutes, and GO-16, a geostationary satellite, can provide images of severe weather every 30 seconds.
We at the Hurricane Center, we use an enhancement to help estimate the intensity of storms. It's a specific enhancement that looks at how cold those cloud tops are around the eye, how warm is that eye, and from that, we can help determine how strong the storm is.
Here are three main types of satellite images: visible, infrared, and water vapor. Visible imagery can be seen during the day because it observes reflecting sunlight from the Earth's surface. Infrared images can be seen both day and night because it has sensors to measure heat from the clouds. Water vapor imagery helps indicate where heavy rain is possible based on the amount of moisture in the upper atmosphere. Satellite imagery allows us to constantly monitor the cycle of hurricanes from formation to dissipation. I'm meteorologist KJ Jacobs, WCNC Charlotte.
And folks, be sure to subscribe to the WCNC Charlotte Weather IQ YouTube page. Just take out your phone and scan the QR code right there on your screen. It'll take you right to our page where you can like and subscribe for more content.
Welcome back. Grocery shopping at Warehouse Club, certainly a popular strategy to save money. But did you know there are many ways to save that have nothing to do with buying food in bulk?
We're going to learn a little bit more, right? Yeah. WCNC Charlotte's Carolyn Bruck is here with the best non-food related Warehouse Club buys, so you're not left asking, where's the money, Carolyn?
Yes, I mean, let me just throw this out there. I am a fan of the 6-pound trail mix. I always buy that and I eat all of it. Wow. But these are savings that have nothing to do with food, because you generally think Warehouse Club's food, right? So let's talk about what to buy at Warehouse Clubs to save money, because that is the goal. The first thing, prescription medication. So prescription medication prices, they are usually lower. And here's the other thing, you don't have to be a member to take advantage. You just need to call the pharmacy inside of said Warehouse Club and get your prescription sent there, and you can also get in on the savings. The second thing, eye care. Now, many have these on-site optometry services. You can get eye exams, but even if you can't, a lot of them offer discounted prescription glasses and contact lenses. How about gasoline? Yes, gas prices have gone down recently, but even so, prices can be up to 30 cents less per gallon if you get them at a Warehouse Club. Gift cards. I did not know this, and this is, why would you ever not take advantage of this? Up to 20% off face value when you buy it at a Warehouse Club, so why would you get a gift card anywhere else? You really shouldn't, and that's to be continued because, again, the producer, I have 8 of them actually. But the producer said 8's too much, Carolyn, for right now.
That's true.
So 4 now and 4 tomorrow.
All right. Okay. We'll come back same time, same place.
Yes.
All right, Carolyn. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm. About 180 miles up the coast from Foley, a teenager nearly lost his life in a rip current near Wilmington. So if you have a beach vacation planned, officials want to make sure that you know how to handle strong currents just offshore. Here's WCNC Charlotte's Sarah French.
There's people out there in the rip currents. So I quickly grabbed my board and ran towards the rip currents.
That's Timothy Turner. When he's not riding the waves at Holden Beach, he's in the sand, making sure everyone is safe. But last week, things took a turn for the worse when 2 people got stuck in a rip current about 50 yards out from the shore.
A 17-year-old and probably a 45-year-old out there in the water. And they were done. They were out of energy.
That 17-year-old was Seth Enzor. He says he started to feel the water pull him under. But it wasn't until 5 minutes later that he realized he was stuck in a rip current.
But I was still just swimming, trying to get out. And at one point, I'd gotten fairly close to getting back to where I could touch and where I'd be able to get back to shore. And I got pulled back under, and I'm not really sure if I passed out or something, but I came back up and I was much further out than where I was. It was very scary because I knew I wouldn't be able to get out there alone in any way.
They were just bobbing and weaving. The waves are probably 5 to 6 foot crashing on the shore, so it was very dangerous.
Enzor didn't grow up going to the beach, so he says he didn't know how to get himself out of the rip current. But water rescue officials say anyone going in the water should know what to do in that situation.
Biggest thing that you can do is not panic. If you're not a strong swimmer, if you can just float. A lot of times the rip current will, once it pops you out, you'll be able to either traverse along the shoreline and ease your way back in. If you are having a problem, get a hold of somebody and have them call 911 so you can get the help there.
Enzor says he's thankful that Turner put his life on the line to save his.
That was a very difficult situation. I don't think very many people would have been able to save me. I would just like to express my gratitude and thanks to Mr. Tim again, and how lucky I am for him to be out there.
For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Sarah French.
Tonight at 6. We start here a month after WCNC Charlotte exposed potentially dangerous safety devices along North Carolina highways. The state has taken action to keep North Carolinians safe. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Colin Mayfield. Now, you may remember a recent investigation into so-called Frankenstein guardrails. They're improperly assembled using mismatched parts from different manufacturers. Not only are they not tested for use, they've also been associated with deaths in other states. The North Carolina Department of Transportation promised to repair those guardrails we found, so our Nate Morabito made sure the state followed through in tonight's Seeking Solutions.
Crews spent Thursday repairing this Frankenstein guardrail along Billy Graham Parkway. A guardrail, a safety advocate told us, reminded him of a similar one in Florida linked to the death of a 22-year-old. What looks like a blur to passing drivers,
this is a really big deal,
could actually be the difference between life and death.
I've seen these mismatched systems kill and maim people all across the country.
This guardrail sat in the middle of Billy Graham Parkway for so long, vines covered it.
We cannot just set these things and forget them.
It's one of several across the state safety advocate Steve Eimers flagged as Frankenstein.
I've looked at a fraction of those.
And he believes there are many more the North Carolina Department of Transportation doesn't yet know about.
We're probably talking hundreds, possibly thousands.
What are you all going to do about it? When questioned about our findings,
if we are aware of it, yes, we will fix it.
NCDOT promised to take action. The agency reports crews have since repaired more than a dozen Frankenstein guardrails we identified, including 2 on I-77, 1 on 485, another on Wilkinson Boulevard, several in Shelby, 2 in Lincolnton, and even more on I-26 in western North Carolina. The state determined a handful of others we identified do not, in fact, have deficiencies.
We do not believe it would be a cost-effective endeavor to go out there and look at every one of these.
NCDOT maintains the agency is not aware of any fatalities or severe injuries involving Frankenstein guardrails in North Carolina and doesn't believe there is evidence they pose a widespread safety risk to the public.
Yes.
That's why Kevin Lacey told us taxpayers are better served by NCDOT using its limited resources on more impactful efforts, like replacing outdated guardrails rather than searching for improperly assembled ones.
There's a likelihood that we would save more lives spending that time and money on other activities. I'm not anti-guardrail. I am anti-doing it wrong.
Eimers, though,
this is a square peg in a round hole,
isn't convinced.
This thing is Frankenstein.
He's continuing his mission to find others in North Carolina so the state can repair those too and potentially save more lives along the way.
This is the second one I've found in 15 minutes of being in North Carolina.
At the same time, crews fixed a Frankenstein guardrail in Charlotte.
You'll end up in the river.
He found several more in western North Carolina in just a matter of minutes. In addition to repairing this guardrail and most of the others we made them aware of, NCDOT also plans to improve training so crews install the guardrails right the first time, acknowledging some mistakes were likely made and noting some of the guardrails were installed decades ago. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.